This is what James is going to be eating today, and we're going to be talking about House, and that's season 2. And well, I've been doing some painting, and this was it was a canvas that this person was already drawn onto the canvas. The drawing of, this isn't an actual person, of course. And I don't know this, whoever was the model for this picture, so I'll probably be changing the drawing a little bit when I paint so that it looks more like somebody that I know or something like that. But I got these canvases that somebody had already started, and I suspect they died before they were able to finish them. I got them from the MCC thrift store, and I thought, well, I'll just finish them. So I have been doing this technique where it's kind of an interesting, it's from the Abstract Acrylics book that I borrowed from the library, and then I've been doing some other things with just playing around with the techniques. So I did some things with cherry leaves because one of my cherry branches broke, and then I was thinking, well, I've been using paper then and watercolor with the leaves or flowers or grasses or whatever after I'm done, and this is mixed media paper because I'll be doing other things with it, but I thought, well, it'll work better with watercolor paper. And then I had these pictures that, I don't know, gosh, that's hard to see with the shadows and light, but had drawn, I'll try to stand in the, there we go. So I'd drawn a picture of my sister years ago, and it didn't work out great, and so I didn't end up doing anything with it. And like I've mentioned before, I do pictures of my dad, or I used to, and I'd never end up finishing them because he'd always end up looking somewhat like Colonel Sanders. And so I have to change this because it doesn't look like my dad. But I thought, well, why not use that? So I'm going to be taping, just like I taped that paper to there. I'm going to tape these papers to these boards, and use the leaf technique. So that should be fun. And then, yeah, James and I are going to talk about House Season 2. So I'll sit down and we'll get started. Now, we haven't watched all of it again, but I mean, we've watched these shows lots.
I think so, maybe twice before.
And whenever, I forgot I had that up there. Lucky thing it didn't fall on my head. But, so let's move that. I don't know if it'll stay.
Yeah, it's like a disobedient dog that might not stay.
Okay, there we go. Boy, it's warm out here.
Pretty warm.
It's going to get worse.
Well, they say 29 in Calgary, and as per usual, 2 degrees warmer here, so prediction. And they were predicting it with the cloud cover, so you're saying cloud cover clearing up to 30. That is sober. Mm-hmm.
So, I cleaned up my painting corner over there.
Yeah, there was some organic material.
Yeah, I had lots of old painted leaves. So, and I forgot to fill up the water on the container that I have the branches from the cherry tree in, because the big one broke, and then I was pruning the Nanking cherry because I was fixing the broken branch off the Evans cherry, so that so I brought out my loppers and was cleaning that up, and then so I got put it in the water, and I was right there, and I thought, oh well, I may as well take this dead branch off the Nanking cherry. And well, I was overheated, and it's not good to actually try to think things through when you're overheated, and it was not a dead branch. So then I pruned off a live branch of my Nanking cherry, which...
The Nanking's a smaller cherries, right?
Yeah, that one we can only use for like jellies.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. But...
which is still pretty useful.
Yeah. Yeah, but still things.
You end up doing extra work because each time you pick a berry, extra
And-
work per unit.
Well,
or
I found
whatever.
that the Nanking cherry leaves
Mhm.
didn't work as well for this technique
Mm.
because they're too fuzzy, so they hold on to way too much paint.
Hmm.
But I mean, you could use them for a lot longer. Getting rid of some of the paint here and there, but yeah, it didn't end up working quite as well. And this, I didn't. I mean, this was already painted brown and stuff, so I didn't. I could show you some of the stuff. Well, I'll show you eventually. I'll probably show you when I get done the one of Kathy and yeah, what I've been doing. So I end up putting the stuff down and then pour some watercolor over the leaves or the flowers in a pattern. Or you could use a squeeze bottle. You could put a squeeze bottle and put a little. That'd make it easy. But to do that, I'd have to go to the dollar store again and get a bunch of squeeze bottles. I don't want to do that. I went to the dollar store earlier today.
You do.
I did.
You survived it so far.
Yes. And
People doing all
I
sorts of nutty
was
things.
not going to go to the. When this COVID thing started, I said, okay, well, I'm not going to the dollar store again. And then I went to Michael's the other day to try to find something, and I couldn't find it there. And I thought, well, you know, I'm going to need more watercolor paint because I've really been going through it. And I don't want to buy it from Michael's because it's expensive. So I thought, I'll go to the dollar store because I know I can get it there cheap. And yeah, it's not the best watercolor paint in the world, but I mean, for dollar store, awesome. And like, I was surprised I could use it at all, but it's usable. So anyway, they're out. They don't have any, and the woman says there's been a real shortage on paint. We haven't been able to get them. So I guess there's been a lot of people that have been thinking, well,
That's staying
you know, I
at home.
can't work anyway. What am I going to do at home? I've always wanted to, and so they're doing, right?
Mhm.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and that saves me from trying to look for things at the dollar store because I shouldn't be going there. Anyway, and I have plenty of paint. I just need to not maybe do watercolors because once I run out of watercolor paint, then I don't want to go out and get more again. So, because people were not, there was one person wearing a mask at the dollar store, and I suspect she was sick.
Mm.
Anyway.
You have to wonder. Lethbridge, City of Lethbridge, please get on the stick, shift into overdrive, and make it mandatory for anyone in a public, enclosed space. They have to wear a mask. Get on the stick.
So anyway, with House, first thing we noticed watching, I think it was the second episode or something. It was pretty early on season 2. House was not wearing a mask. He came into work sick, was not wearing a mask around all these people.
I was sneezing all over him, coughing. But he's kind of a funny guy. He cares. Claims he doesn't. He's a rogue and maverick.
Yeah.
Are there guys like him? I don't think
Well,
so.
he's very competitive. I mean, he's a blue-red sort of person.
Okay.
So he knows a lot, and he's very confident in what he knows. He doesn't really want to listen to anyone else. He definitely wants an audience. He wants people to admire him, to be there, and to witness his greatness.
Hard for me to relate to him, you know?
Yeah. But,
Because
you know,
you and I are both blue-green.
yeah.
It's just I am closer
No,
to
I
the
understand.
yellow and red.
I understand him fully because my ex was a blue red, and he was awesome in many ways. He was a genius, and he could be very cruel if he chose to be. He could also be very focused and attentive if you wanted to be. So,
Yeah, he tried to be cruel to me once. I think it was the only time I talked to him. It was hilarious because he didn't know me. So he's trying to be cruel, and I just said, yeah, you might be right, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think he found it very frustrating. I could say I found it fulfilling, but it was a waste of my time.
Yes. Well, I feel for him at that
Mhm.
time. He was having a very hard time. Yes. In any case, wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask. I was going to say, I find this kind of amusing because he has barnstorming sessions, right? Brainstorming sessions
Mm-hmm.
with what usually 3 other doctors. And I'm going, that'll be the day. What doctors do is they do knee-jerk kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you've got some weird symptoms. It must be in your head. That sort of stuff.
Anyway, and also when I watch House, I'm reminded of my ex too, because my ex walked with a cane and he still rode a motorcycle. He was still, which must have been terrible for his back, but
Just lifting it up.
it was just he was that kind of person. Rode a motorcycle. So when he had to walk with a cane eventually, he was not going to give up riding a motorcycle. And it's like, I guess, with me and hiking.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to people, well, if I have to drag myself up by my hands, I'm getting to the top of that mountain.
Mm.
So it's just, I guess there's some things that people can't live without. Like I remember there was one guy.
Hiking's good for you. Riding a motorcycle isn't.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's part of my identity,
Mm.
getting out there. Like I don't know. Yeah.
I think you'd be more like me. Like, I used to run. I used to play soccer. Kid goes up. I hike, and that, one doctor said to me, I've never seen so much damage with so few complications. It's because I picked up something that's healthy to continue it. Keeps the bones strong, all that sort of stuff.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, more people should hike.
Most people your age are going downhill like a cliff.
And less people should ride motorcycles, honestly.
Yeah. When they come up with a decent muffling system for a motorcycle, I might feel slightly more tolerant towards motorcycles.
And less people should ride bicycles. I realize
I'm
that
sick and tired of cycling.
I realize it's you put out, I guess, as far as transportation goes, it's most efficient for the amount of energy that that's going into. But get on the road.
Stay on the road.
Leave
pedestrians alone.
Bicycles are vehicles, and they belong on the road. And sure, maybe less other vehicles should be on the road, and more bicycles should be on the road.
Absolutely.
But bicycles should never be on the sidewalk.
Never.
Ever. And in places where there are some places in Lethbridge where they make people ride their bicycles on the side. Well, walk them. They're supposed to walk them, but they don't. Like under the crow's nest and stuff. But nobody ever walks them. They ride them on the sidewalk, and it's ridiculous. And the trails right now with pandemic, it's ridiculous that they're on the trails.
No social distancing now. And they're so aggrieved when you don't get out of their way right away.
Yep.
Their way right away. That's their little formula. I do want to mention something I heard on CBC.
Okay, then you do.
They finally busted someone, I think from Alabama, claiming to come from Alaska, going to Alabama. Here's what it took. Busted one day, $1,200 fine. Didn't mean anything. What a scofflaw. You idiot Alabamans, keep your weird, wacko individuals at home. Man.
How can they do that?
Well, do something. Ask Canada, say, do more. Because flunkies like this are giving you a bad reputation.
Okay, so then what happened?
Next day, he's out and about in Banff. Next day.
Wow.
So now they're prosecuting him. Throw, not the book at him, throw the whole encyclopedia at this
make
Jim.
sure that they can't come back in. It's now they have a criminal record and they're not gonna cross the border again.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I want to keep him here. In jail. Long time. 10 years. We're calling yourself Banff. How do you like it?
I think they just have a criminal record, and then they're sent back to the United States, and at their own expense, or their governments. That would be.
They obviously got a lot more money than sense. You know how you mentioned people with speed, $100 fine or whatever. Most people that doesn't mean anything. Presumably some sort of rich
really
Alabama.
Fines only keep poor people in check. Because that's the only people it really makes any difference to.
It's a class
So give them prison time. Give them a criminal record for sure. They can't come back into Canada.
I don't want to see an idiot like that in Banff, any place. I don't even ultimately want to see him in jail here. What a skunk. You crazy libertarian Americans. You guys who believe your liberty trumps everyone else's. And I use Trump intentionally. Your liberty trumps everyone else's. I got my rights. I got my freedom. I'm going to exercise them all over you.
There's plenty of those sorts here too.
Well, we've got plenty, but the place where it's ground zero for that kind of stuff is the United States.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got plenty here in Alberta, but there's a heavy. Huh?
I don't know if that's true.
Where would be a place that would? They're all full of the Constitution, right? They're also full of something else. The Constitution guarantees my right to bear, like assault rifles.
All right. So we were going to talk about the interesting things that the medical community have been saying when they're interviewed on the CBC.
You'll hear some fine people, and you'll hear some wackazoids. The wackazoids tend to be the
politician types.
The politician types.
Yeah. And they,
types.
You know them because they'll say, we did such a great job.
Oh, right. You were mentioning that. I'd forgotten about it.
And it's like, what?
We heard an idiot saying that.
You did a terrible job. For one thing, you closed the henhouse doors after the weasel was in. I mean, that's.
I think it was the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
But they did a terrible job.
Absolutely
awful. At the beginning. And I mean, they were looking for herd immunity, and it seems like they're still progressing along that. They have this. They have the blinders on. They set up. This is what we're going to do, and they're still going for it, even though they found out that.
It just wasn't working.
It's not working. People don't develop the antibodies and so the herd immunity idea not going to work. So it looks like they're still progressing, going for that though, sending people off to school, and they're opening things up incrementally, because
3 stages here in Alberta.
Gosh knows we need nail salons open.
Oh yeah.
And
malls
so
open, concerts open.
They're working at opening things right up, and and it hasn't been going well. You know, the numbers keep growing, and now they're seeing more and more young people. That's the group where they're seeing higher numbers now, the 20 to 30.
Yeah.
You know. And who knows what it's going to be like for them. We don't know if
In long run.
they may be asymptomatic for the most part when they're getting it, but
then when they get
What-
older,
yeah,
immune system lower.
will they continue to have the virus and
Mhm.
not? I mean, will they just stay asymptomatic and then all of a sudden develop symptoms, or will it just clear? Who knows, right? Either way,
Not worth the risk.
should make an interesting winter.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine Thanksgiving and Christmas are going to go great if kids are all asymptomatic and they're going home to mom and pop.
Yeah. Hey, Mom and Pop.
Yeah.
Boy, have I got a gift for you.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
You'll never need another Christmas present again. Not because this one's so good, but you won't be around for another Christmas.
but yeah, it was interesting listening to that woman on the CBC because she was
She sounded like
talking
a
about how
bureaucrat.
great they were, how great a job they'd done at the beginning, and
And
you
the
know,
CBC
convincing
interviewer
everyone to
called
stay
them
at
right.
home, and this, yeah, and
Called them right
didn't
away.
say-
No,
no, they never do. Okay, well sometimes they do.
they
but,
will if it's someone who disagrees
Yeah.
with their ideology.
But anyway, so as I said, they did a terrible job at the beginning, health community, and but if you listen to them tell it, they did an excellent job.
This
Shutting
woman
everything
was
down right away,
Yeah.
and they didn't shut everything down right away. They waited until Sophie Trudeau packed it home with her, and then they were calling everyone home after they'd sent them out vacationing
yeah,
to
a
bring
million
back
people.
COVID.
Mm.
So they didn't shut it down right away. They didn't take it seriously right away,
No,
and some people did. I mean, we did.
yeah, I know, but we're
But-
not the government.
No. So, no, they didn't do a great job right away. And even when they did say, okay, everyone stay home and whatever, we didn't have access to bleach. There was no bleach in the supermarkets. There was no, I mean, all of those sort of things were cleared out. They didn't, at the beginning, they were saying, oh, masks may not work or don't work and this and that, depending on who was
Therefore,
saying
we're
it.
not ordering you to wear them.
Yeah, and really, they just wanted to make sure they had enough masks for the hospitals. But they were telling,
Here's what
they
you
were
do in
giving
that situation.
misinformation to the public.
Yeah. What you do in
And-
that situation is you are not to stores. You
Yep.
can't sell masks to regular people. They have to go into the. That's what you do.
Yeah.
What they did was they
But
lied about
they
it,
lied.
and now people are going. "Ah,
And now
we need
people
masks."
don't, yeah, they were lied to at the beginning, so now they're thinking, oh, well, maybe I don't need a mask, or maybe because they were told by the medical community that they didn't need one at the
Yeah.
beginning. And
Real slimy.
So now they're trying to lie about that. Now the medical community is saying, oh, well, this is,
We
why
were on
aren't
top
people
of it right away.
wearing masks? Why aren't people taking this
Yeah.
seriously now?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, they were told by you not to.
They
at
were
the beginning.
literally saying
They were
that
literally-
people aren't taking us
Yeah.
seriously.
And so, I mean, they were going for herd immunity. The medical community, that's what they were pushing for,
Well,
herd immunity. at
the
beginning.
bureaucrats.
Yeah.
We
Which
heard plenty of
doesn't work.
specialists in epidemiology saying, saying this is outside crazy. There's
Yeah,
one
you're
guy
right.
explaining he was saying that right from the beginning, like we
Yeah.
were.
Yes. But what else was I going to say about it? I don't know. Lost my train of thought.
There's not much to be said. It's, the only vocalizations that are really appropriate are bitter laughter. Theresa Tam and all these fake bureaucratic doctors. They don't fake the bureaucracy, but they fake
Well,
They break their Hippocratic oath.
yeah.
Teresa Tam has broken it so much. It's in shards and flinders.
Yeah. So anyway. So, what I was going to say about it, I think, was that sure, they closed everything down, convinced everybody to stay at home and this and that, and they paid them for their to stay at home.
They
Well,
closed some things
we didn't
down.
get paid.
They didn't close down the cargo plant.
No, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And
The plant in Brooks.
but a lot of people did stay at home. They convinced a lot of people to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, people were going, okay, but we can't afford, the government can't afford to pay people to stay at home for this whole thing, so what's going to happen? And everybody was wondering, what will happen? So, well, I mean, some people weren't wondering, and some people are out there thinking, well, the worries are over. They wouldn't send us out to work again
If it weren't totally safe.
Totally safe. So, anyway. So now, really, what was all that keeping people at home for? What was that for?
Well,
Because-
it's bizarre because now certain Saskatchewan, for example, didn't have much of an initial outbreak. Now they're opening things up. Wow. Well, what was the point? What was the point? You had people sacrifice economically and stuff like that. It should have been masks. We're saying, look, we can't afford to give you the masks right now. What we're trying to do is avoid panic.
Yeah.
Who cares if a few people die? No, 10,000. We've got to avoid panic. No, Jesus.
Well, you
Pardon my
avoid
French.
panic by actually doing the job. If
Yeah,
you have your
yeah,
public
that's-
officials actually controlling things properly,
Yeah.
then people won't panic, But
Yeah, here's the deal. You're out in a tough neighborhood and you got a guard dog with you. Not a watchdog, a guard dog. And all of a sudden you see a guard dog cozying up with, some Hell's Angels bikers or something like that. And you're going, maybe it's time I panic. Get a decent guard dog. We've had guard dogs that are basically part of the problem. So... I'm talking about Teresa Tam, Justin Trudeau. You look at those idiots, and anyone who doesn't panic, having them in their corner, is an idiot too. That's all I got to say about that. You want to be that kind of idiot? Hey, they'll take care of me because they haven't taken care of me yet, so they owe me several. Well, there's lots of people they owe that aren't around to collect. It's coming up to 10,000.
yeah, what's going to be like?
And believe
Come
me,
this
their
time next
estates should be collected.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. Court is now in order. Crimes against humanity. Crimes of negligence against humanity.
Yeah.
Manslaughter against 10,000 people. You
Yeah.
can't do these kind of things and get away with them in any just world. You hear that, Justin?
So anyway, very stupid idea. Me going